Ladies and gentlemen, how you all doing? This is Con Or coming to you with another episode of Company of Heroes 2. It's a 1v1 between Gyunwoo up here in the north playing the OKW, and in the southeast his opponent, the Pugnacious Penguin. Neither one of these guys are strangers to us out here. Of course, we are going to see Pugnacious Penguin bringing on the Soviets, going for support weapon Kompania, while the Germans, for their own point, are going to go and get a very, very standard opening, going for that Kubelwagen to help push the extremes of this map. Now, taking a quick look at commanders themselves, Gyunwoo is bringing the same three we saw on the other day with him. He's got special operations, he's got scavenge, and he's got fortificationist doctrine. So three very strong, very potent commanders. Pugnacious Penguin, though, for over on his particular side of things, what do we got? We have shock rifle frontline tactics with both the KV-8 and that IS-2. Very, very, very good commander. Partisan tactics, which is always a fun one to watch, if not maybe the most durable, and a Soviet reserve army that brings the partisan tank hunters in, as well as giving those conscripts a lot more firepower and a lot more dynamism. Question is whether or not he's going to really explore that option moving forward. Do see a very early maxim coming out for him as the Soviets pick up their fuel. German's going to be about 20 seconds behind, I would say, going for that connectivity point and going over to the south. But it seems that Gyunwoo is going to place a little bit more of importance on the munitions point to the north. So trying to swing around the northern side of the Russians here, maybe put a little bit of pressure on them. This squad of Volksgrens setting up, and not so much a god house, but a very, very solid house nonetheless for the northern side of the map. For the southern side of the map, this house right here is a high value target for a lot of individuals. And to a lesser extent, both this one and the mill over here, which, you know what, it's just so gorgeous with the way they have that running out. A second Maxim's coming out. I'm not going to see any conscripts early on, which is very surprising. But this Kubelwagen's going to do very well against his combat engineers, and a Maxim, well, as long as it doesn't get stuck in the Maxim's front arc. And that might happen soon enough. This Maxim looks like it's trying to be set up so these combat engineers will lure the Kubelwagen into that fire arc, and if it does so, that will be a big, big mess for that tiny little people's car. In the south, Strumpio is looking to take back the strategic point that wasn't really fully capped out in the first place by the Soviets, and seems Gyunwoo is going to have himself some early map advantage, coming over here, picking up another model onto his combat engineers, and finally, at long last, we're going to see some conscripts coming out into the map. And this Maxim is just barely out of range, gets one small burst of fire off, and then is forced to fall into silence.
We have more conscripts at our disposal.
And the Germans just seem to be doing okay. It's a 1-to-1 cap right now, 3 minutes in, not a whole lot really going on. But with conscripts on the map, we are going to see a little bit more of a, let's say, potential dynamic army from the Soviets. I mean, combat engineers and Maxims are either underpowered or can be flanked super easily. Neither one is definitely a good thing you want to see. The question really is how will he be upgrading these conscripts? And it seems that Maxim is not going to be very quick or Johnny on the spot with getting some firepower out onto the Kubelwagen. And indeed, the Kubelwagen is going to set up and get a couple bursts of fire off before, there we go, before being forced back. Germans as well being forced off their fuel to the south, which is very surprising to me because this Maxim is just begging to be outflanked by the Strompios and might, in fact, do that PDQ. Setting up over here to the south. Never mind, they're going to get fire down on these Strompios and going to force them into a very, very quick retreat. So, OKW is starting off with a very standard build. Soviets, a little bit harder to say standard or not standard. It's kind of very much driven by the commander choices. But an early flamethrower coming out for these combat engineers. Not the most common move on that one. The Germans, for their own right, calling it an SWS, probably going to see, I would hope it would be a battle group headquarters actually because of the damage his infantry is taking. But he does have the fuel to support a quicker mechanized regiment headquarters, and that might be a good idea there as well. Our little avian friend here to the southeast is going to call in medics and another conscript squad and looking to try to push a little bit more of the map control than what is currently going on for him. Germans throwing down their own bit of cover over here to the north. Good idea right there, especially considering how effective these Maxims can be, and if the Germans are able to, yep, they finish it just in time, so even if they're suppressed, they're going to at least decap the fuel away from the Soviets, and that's almost as good. Add in the fact that these combat engineers are generally kind of outflanked by an awful lot here, and nope, never mind, the Germans won't take the fuel point, but neither will they lose it. The southern part of the map, oh no, wow, way the heck up here, these conscripts are super aggressive. And yep, that's Mechanized Regiment headquarters, so maybe we will see ourselves a Panzer II. Tends to be a fairly good option for the OKW on this map. The firing lanes and lots of roads do allow for a very good bit of mobility. I don't know what they just threw. They just throw a... No, they can throw a AT grenade. I guess just because they're firing at it while setting up is going to do a lot more damage. Maxim's going to have these guys off in a corner, but are they going to get out just in time? Nope, they're not. Never mind. So those guys are pretty hardcore messed up. To the eastern side of things, though, somehow these combat engineers snuck in behind this green cover, able to seize that point back for the Soviets, and now flamethrowers up here to really force the Volksgrens into a very, very quick eviction notice. Still 30 into the game, though, we are going to see the Soviets have control of, what, 60% of the map, about 70% of the map. Trip cap in terms of strategic points, but that can be turned around, justified completely differently if this combat engineer goes down. He will not, though, luckily for him. Notice on the map, munitions point is being lost by the Germans, but now we're also going to see Kuppelwagen getting in and behind this Maxim machine gun crew and do a fairly good bit of damage. And I don't think there's AT grenades. Oh, there's an AT grenade out on those guys. They will not hesitate to use it. There we go. So damaged engine at the absolute least. And one good burst of fire or two will see that guy picked up. I'm kind of surprised it's not getting done already. That last little bit of tickling, he's going to go down. Poor Kuppelwagen. Poor Kuppelwagen. Never mind, out of control. There he goes, folks. Northern side of the map, conscripts are now taking a lot of the Axis infantry, if nothing else, through raw numbers, capturing out points and really forcing the Germans to kind of overload. You do see right now that the Germans are not able to put anybody on the southern side of this map, which is a little bit surprising. Very surprising, in fact. I won't even say a little bit surprising, very surprising. Panzer II's coming out. The question is, can that Panzer II turn things around for the Germans? I can honestly hope so. And it looks like they're even threatening to take back one of the VPs in the north, but in the south again, they just keep running into these Maxims again and again. And 8 minutes in, I am not totally surprised to say, but it is rather impressive to see that Pugnacious Penguin has just... Whew, he's controlling the tempo of this game, and is doing it rather easily, too. 390 to 500, there's a disc gun coming out right now, so that Panzer II's got to be very careful about where he moves. Gyunwoo's got no real infantry presence. Every single time he comes out onto the map, he runs into a machine gun here, or just numbers there, and it's just super, super bad for him. And yep, we're actually going to see Gyunwoo being forced into going for battle group headquarters. Though the Panzer II announces his presence with a quick model slay of a combat engineer. Question is, though, again, will the Zisgun and the addition of these anti-tank grenades from the conscripts be too much for him to handle? It can go either way. If the Soviets are very lucky, they'll be able to devastate Panzer II, and now we're going to see a good usage of kind of bait and switch here. Zisgun is going to find itself with an obliging target, and a round comes in and just barely misses. Never mind, folks, that was just lucky right there for the German Panzer II. But the Soviets are getting exactly what they wanted to. They're keeping the Germans at arm's length. They're moving a Maxim up to the north to take that other VP. And this Maxim and these conscripts have these poor Germans pinned. Down to the south, that we are seeing combined arms working together. Sturmpire is moving forward to take back this fuel point, and that'll be the first step to really getting things under control for the Germans. Because as of right now, the Pugnacious Penguin is getting 40 fuel a minute. He's got Tanky Battalion Command out, which means that if he wants to go and make a, T-70 or two. He's more than willing to do that, more than able to do that. But no, instead he's rushing up to Mechanized Armor Compania, and that's a great idea there as well. I'm not going to be able to get... It's a TM-35 mine. Oh dear God, this is going to be bloody. Kabloosh. That will definitely allow a very, very quick T-34 to come out, and the Germans are not going to have access to anything close to handling that for quite a bit of time. But for the moment, we are seeing some signs of life from the Germans. They've been able to throw enough bodies out to the fore that Soviets are not able to keep them completely knocked down for long. Battlecoup headquarters is going to come out pretty darn soon. We have that 25 fuel that he needs. And that is probably the best thing that can happen to him. Never mind, folks, there's a T-34 coming out already. It's just a 76, mind you, but that still might be more than enough to take out the German threat here. 11 minutes and 5 seconds in, 330 to 500. The Germans have been losing tickets almost since the word go, and the Soviets, as you can obviously see, haven't lost a darn thing. But every now and again, we are going to see a bit of fire being exchanged that gives a small bit of hope for the Wehrmacht. It's not going to be easy, mind you, especially when the Zisgun hits shots like that into that Panzer II. And especially when that T-34 comes out, the Germans are going to have a Raketenwerfer and a Raketenwerfer, and that's about it, really. Can't afford to bring in any Shreks, can't afford to put mines down. Mines are going down galore for the Soviets because they've had munitions control for such a long period of time. Medics coming in, perhaps? No, still being built up, so it's going to be a little bit of time for that happening, too. And these poor Volksgrens just find themselves getting outshot like crazy. Although we are seeing a threat coming out over here from this MG-34 to the north, able to suppress two machine guns at the same time, pinning one of them, so that's a big coup right there. Oh no, T-34 is in here, which means that P2 is not going to be in there for long. One more round comes in, that guy's going to be toast, and... Yep, that's going to be it. No! He managed to make it away, and the Soviets rush across a mine, but the Zisgun says, hey boys, I got your backside, don't y'all worry. And kind of wondering, are we going to see a Pak-43 coming out? Or, Gyunwoo's just going to go for a lot more of an anti-tank presence. Raketenwerfer is lining up here, gets around into the back of this T-34, should get at least one more pretty easily. Yep, and that rear armor hit, and the damaged engine, oh my gosh, this could be big. It's not going to go down necessarily, but he's got to limp away, or else. This Volksgren squad, being super brave, not wanting to be pushed back away from the rest of his troops, the rest of his friends, and the Germans continue to drop down 265 to 500. This gun is sitting back over here kind of pretty. Might be a good idea to even throw down a couple of arty barrages here around the center part of the field. He's got the munitions to blow if he really wants to. And he's going to control both munitions points for a fair bit of time. Oh, never mind, folks. They were going to go. Sturmpilots moving to the north to take that out. And one Raketenwerfer is there. Second moving up maybe to kind of backstop for the first one, and that'd be a good opportunity. And the Germans are threatening to take back parts of this map. The Red Scourge is not winning handily anymore. As Maxim is now just barely not able to bring fire on top of the Volksgrens, a very, very good way to approach that machine gun right there. And 14 minutes and 10 seconds in, we could even see the first tickets coming off from the Soviets. Will we? It's going to be the case. To the south, Volksgrens are going to come into these conscripts over here, and they're going to do a fairly decent job, probably chasing them back. Grenade. Yep, there we go. Incendiary grenade coming out. They're losing a model, but they're going to force the conscripts away from that cover. And once you're doing that, yellow cover against no cover is going to be good news for Hans and his pals. Now, here comes his T-34 yet again, and Raketenwerfer 1 just kind of sits there and gets one round off, doesn't do a whole lot. In fact, it misses completely. So a little bit unlucky there. Even more unlucky is the fact that these Volksgrens think it's going to be a good idea to stand right next to that house Meanwhile, the Soviets are crying out, "Don't stand so close to me," and they're going to do a decent number on them right there as well. Interestingly, negative cover against no cover, and the Germans somehow are able to hold on. Not getting pinned just yet, and the machine, the MG34 is a better suppression weapon than the Maxim. Although one can argue not always by much. T-34 on the bottom part of the map getting a couple of kills, trying to pick on the Volkskrans as much as possible, but this Rakettenwerfer might get a round off. And again, no, the guy's got a charmed life. He's not getting any kind of hits happening to him. And that's a Katyusha on the ground, so if the Germans are not aware of this, this first barrage could be quite devastating. ISG for the Germans, maybe not the best decision, but as of right now, it doesn't have a whole lot to really go off of. Kind of wondering if, no, MG34 is going to do decently against that. Well done. But here comes conscripts, and they get behind that MG34, which they will do. They could carve them up, but good. In the meantime, Volkskrans, heavily wounded, are going to come forward bravely to kind of go and really try to chase off their opposite numbers as much as possible. And now PM41 mortar squad's coming out as well. So between the Katyusha and the mortar, I'm surprised that the Soviets are now losing all control of everything. Up, Katyusha barrage comes in. No, yep, the Volkskrans squad's going to go down. This Rakettenwerfer should be able to limp away, losing a ton of HP.
The sector is at risk.
But it seems whenever Gyunwoo's going to get countered out, he just keeps seeming to slide back in. And this is a shame right here. Volkskrans could have had that point a long time ago, but unfortunately just unlucky maneuvering right there, unlucky placement even, not seeing them taking the point as necessary. ISG trying to put fire down on top of this Maxim, but not doing a whole ton immediately anyway. Southern Maxim's not going to do quite as well. You will see him. He's going to try to take this fuel away from the Germans, and the Germans get in there just in time. Perfect timing, in fact. Able to chase away the Red Scare. So what had been a very, very good position for the Soviets is starting to kind of collapse ever so slightly. The map is going back again rather blue. But there's more and more mines going down all the time. You see 2 mines going on this fuel point right here to the north. And this Maxim not seeing that there's somebody behind him, but doesn't seem to be too concerned about it. And now there's the obvious Rakettenwerfer. There's going to be some damage being put down as well. Trying to see him, he's not going to be able to do so. Germans are going to... Oh no! What? That's some crazy sight lines right there. Unlucky as well. So that Maxim going to suppress those two, well, that poor squad of Volkskrans. And that Puma is getting called in. Now there's an interesting call. The T-34 by itself, I mean, the Puma is not a devastating weapon. It's decent enough, but not going to be the be-all, end-all. Especially as far as the T-34 is concerned, that thing should be able to eat 2 or 3 Pumas for breakfast. Katyusha barrage coming in, looking for the ISG, not going to find it, but I think turning a couple of medics to mist. And yep, those poor medics are down. And once again, we're going back to the Soviets just taking control of the map yet again. So it seems whenever the Germans threaten to take parts of it out, it just doesn't seem to happen. Ziska might get a round off. Nope, just misses. And that's lucky right there for the Germans. More mines are going all over the place, though, and that's just a good policy. If you have the munitions to use it, mine the entire world up, man. That's a great idea. Mortar tossing down? No, that wasn't the mortar being tossed down. Tossing down those flares. Where are those flares coming from? I cannot say for sure. Tripwire flares, that's what that was. Huzzah. To the north, Volkskrans will try to trade out with these conscripts, but the conscripts at range against a smaller number of Volksgrenadiers will do pretty darn well. Sturmpires, in the meantime, are going to pick up some of these mines away from the Soviets, so that's the risk you take, I suppose, but well done. by the Germans to kind of foresee that and really kind of head them off of the pass. We might see a death of a squad here. No, shockingly enough, the entire squad runs through and no damage is done. No death, no nothing. And I believe these tripwire flares are going to get picked up as well. So the Soviets will lose the northern VP while taking the southern one. Another T-34 comes onto the field as well. Interestingly, Gyunwoo is deciding to go for a Pugnacious. So I guess you could deflect the T-34s enough with things like Raketenwerfers, but the infantry has been quite an issue for the German war machine. So if the Pugnacious gets a couple of good barrages off me, he could take out this Maxim in one volley. By the same token, he also could get taken out super quickly himself. Puma gets found out by the by one T-34, and unfortunately the Raketenwerfers are not in position to support that brave cat. So in the meantime, Germans are coming out. They're going to toss down a incendiary grenade on top of the Maxim, and yep, there it goes. That's one going down. And back to the north again. This Katyusha is not getting a lot of kills. Of course, as I say that, he throws around just on top of the MT-34. And Puma's going to main gun destroyed, but one of these T-34s really should go down here. Never mind, there goes the Puma. And this screams death for something, but no, instead it looks like this guy's going to just limp away somehow. Both Raketenwerfers get taken out. That's a bit of a problem for the Germans. I say a bit of a problem, it's a huge freaking problem for the Germans, because now the anti-tank has all been taken away from them. Pugnacious, though, fires its rounds. Where's it going? Looking to pick up the retreating anti-tank weapons. Unfortunately, fires just a hair too soon. Able to take away the mortar, at least. That's a small victory right there. And while the Puma has gone down, 6 kills for the first barrage is not too shabby. Add in the fact that this Maxim is now a lone sibling, or an only child, while this MT-34 has picked up a little brother. He's a little bit ancient, he's a little bit out of date, but you know what? He's still a pretty strong opportunity there. T-34-76 in the meantime is going to go and take that whole, was it not combat mode, was the things are called capture mode, I guess. And taking the point for himself here. Oh, Soviets have recruited the mortar team as well, though, so we might see some significant losses being incurred by the Germans. 214 to 456. The Germans have been doing a pretty decent job, kind of starting to bite back here and there, but it's not been the most effective of attacks here and there. They've been kind of picked on consistently, and they just find themselves pulled out of cover whenever a Soviet squad comes along. The question really is, where's the second Pugnacious barrage going? And if that does as devastating damage as the first one, and maybe even takes out a squad or two, we really could be seeing a resurgent Germany in this map. Now, unfortunately for the Germans, this Katyusha continues to be almost on point. He's close enough to the front lines that there's not that much scatter. You do see everything is right, pretty much on top of each other, devastating 2 squads by himself. And when that happens, that allows the Soviets to come in, and there is just no saving the neighborhood at that point, my friends. Another Raketenwerfer is called in onto the field, and bizarrely enough, this Maxim just continues to get deeper and deeper into German territory. Down to the south, it looks like the Soviets will lose their fuel point and another VP. So Gyunwoo is taking some body shots, but he's not quite out of it just yet. Point will go back to the Soviets in the middle, so we continue to see some tickets coming out from the German coffers. But if the Germans can take back wins for Raketenwerfers, that could be an excellent way to get back into the game. Yes, there's one's been decrewed. And another mortar team's gone out, mostly because of that ISG, so well shot there. In the south, this Maxim's going to get picked up, unfortunately, but the Strompies are in here to put the hurt onto those conscripts. So even though they are successful in fighting things back, there's not a consistent, long-lasting victory. Now, again, my question is, are the Germans going to try to call in the Schwerpanzer headquarters? Because their fuel income right now is pretty garbage. Maybe what they could consider is putting in a howitzer and using the howitzer to force the Soviets to continue to move consistently. Just a thought. Not entirely sure if that'll work or not. So this gun's going to start throwing barrages down the middle VP. Not going to be the most effective opportunity here. And never mind, folks. Here we go. Here's a barrage. And as this gun is going to get hit, but it's not going to get taken out. 4 models do drop, though. And the Rakettenwerfer that was decrewed from the Soviets is being recrewed yet again, and we do see the newly remade Rakettenwerfers for the Germans getting forced back instead. Su-85 as well being called onto the field, so the Germans not doing so hot in terms of the armored vehicle sector. Kind of hard to really find fault with that as of right now between the consistent firepower coming in at them and all the crazy amounts of T-34-76s. Gyunwoo is definitely outgunned on that level. Rakettenwerfer, though, way behind enemy lines here, and this could be a German pickup if he is aware of this. But no, it seems like he's not able to quite notice that. And indeed, he might even lose his only VP. So kind of strange whenever this happens. And nope, it is going to be the Schwerpanzer headquarters. Question is, where's that going to go down? Here seems like a bad idea. The Katyusha rockets will just devastate that. But if you put it too far back to the rear, there's really no point to even having it. What we might end up seeing happen is the Schwerpanzer headquarters being placed somewhere in this area, which could be a nice opportunity right there. Now, this T-34, though, is just barely within kind of the bad neighborhood. We'll see a bunch of mines going down for the Soviets, doing a good job right there, continuing to mine the entire area out. But this T-34, its main gun's been destroyed, and that's a bad news bears right there. The Germans, in the meantime, have to make sure they continue to cover for the support weapons, and one support weapon is being forced back, and that was going to be a preemptive retreat, and the last one gets wiped by an effective rocket. Those things are just like missiles today. I mean, they're missiles, obviously, but like heat-seeking missiles. It's very, very bad. I feel devastated for the Germans in that one. It's been some very, very unlucky RNG. But a fairly bedded up squad of Volksgrens is charging forward, trying to put the hurt on these conscripts. Not going to be able to do so easily. And this Maxim right here is going to put some fire into the back end of the German war machine. And we'll do pretty darn well. The question is, will it pay for its temerity? He's losing some models here and there. One more model might go down. No, never mind. He's going to make it away. He's going to make it away. So, a little bit of a cheeky dive, more or less. And the Soviets do not want to deal with any more anti-tank weapons. Taking out one Rakettenwerfer, just clearly showing they had like, you know, they weren't hugged enough as a kid or something. I don't know. And the Germans are not done just yet. They want to continue to put fire on top of this Maxim. Might even be able to take it out. One guy's going to go up in flames, I guarantee you. Nope, never mind. He makes it out. Just barely. But this combat engineer squad, these guys are out in the open, and that's not a great place to be either. They're trying to put down mines and don't quite get it. And indeed are going to take some pretty big losses. Nope, never mind. Supported by 2 T-34s, the Volksgrenadiers realize they're just a hair outgunned. Gyunwoo, in the meantime, in the meantime, is finding out these mines are really, literally everywhere. And with all of the Soviet firepower on the map, I'm really kind of shocked that has not been quite taken out just yet. ISG might go down here. One more rocket. Yep, that's it. There goes the rocket on that bad boy. And unless the Germans can somehow manage to squeak out a late-game tank and keep it alive against 3 fairly versatile tanks, gonna be kind of a tall order, won't it? But they're still being plucky. They run into mines over here, but they're still taking fuel points. They're back in the center of the map again. They're kind of lumped up, which is a big problem. But they're still here. They're still fighting. And I feel like this is a barrage waiting to happen. Maxims unload on the Strumpyos, and yep, there we go. It's going to be rockets galore. Let's just see what the rockets Red Glare do on this one. Yep, here they come. There they go. And doesn't do, again, quite as much as you might hope. Takes a ton of HP away, but doesn't kill the squads. That's unlucky right there. In the meantime, Pugnacious Penguins have just been swimming in resources this entire time.
The sector is at risk.
And you kind of have to feel bad for Gyunwoo. He's not been able to get a tank out. Well, he had the P2 for a bit of time, but that Ziscum was very, very effective. These Strumpyos need to make it out of there soon. They can't afford to lose these guys. But Blob City comes out for the Germans, and it looks like he's going to be using that to try to figure out a way to get back in this game. But geez, there's literally mines in every part of this map. Mines here, mines over here. I can't even show you where all of them are. Any mines there? No, not quite. There's a mine here. There's another one up there. There's mines down there. There's a mine over here-ish. Katyusha fires yet again, and watch the Germans lose more models because they've got nothing better to do. Oh yes, and there's mines. Where is it? Well, there were mines up over in this particular area as well. The Germans found some of them by sending their guys into sweep in a very, very old-fashioned way. And that's unfortunate as well. 31-35 into the game, though. 102 to 443. Gyunwoo continues to threaten to hold back on. He's like, yo, bro, I'm not out of this yet. He's still fighting, and one unlucky shot or two from the Soviets could see the death of some very, very valuable squads here. Case in point, Maxim's barely making out with their lives, and a lot of the Soviet infantry is very, very wounded. Pugnacious Penguin should be reinforcing these guys like crazy. It is not quite doing so just yet, but nevertheless, his infantry doesn't look too solid. It's really just his armored core that can't be threatened right now. I think he literally could run around the map and not have to worry about really any enemy infantry. Stukas of Fusen fires to no effect whatsoever. Their intended target long gone. This T-34 though is taking some big hits, and unfortunately I don't think this MG-34 is going to be able to get. Yikes! There goes one right there. So one T-34 is down. Question is, will the Germans pick it back up? Will they just destroy it? What will they do? Another T-34 is getting made. The Germans are going to have enough very, very quickly to put out, where is it? A Panther. Heck, you're making a P4 at this point. And Katyusha continues to starts firing around the middle part of the map. Interesting decision there. But hey, I guess this area denial, it's kind of hard to really complain about. Germans in the meantime will find themselves getting hammered hardcore by this, but zeroing artillery comes down. And it could be very, very good if it gets line of sight on those Soviets, but it does not. You see that map right, that's a little bit of a beaten area right there. Not quite able to be picked up. And now look at all these Rakettenwerfers sitting in the middle part of the map. These guards are just going to start throwing rounds at each other. Well, the gunner's not doing a whole lot. Yikes, there goes one right there. And did I see that tank actually get taken out? Yep, it finally got taken out. Okay. Anti-tank gun goes down, so will the Germans rush forward to pick it up? That might be a good opportunity. I think that might be a good idea. And unfortunately, though, this T-34 in the north is still there, which means the Germans will not be there. Maxims are back up the center of the map again, and their line of fire is still good enough. They can lock down a serious portion of this map, and the Germans don't have a whole lot as it comes from tickets anymore. So 47 to 443. Stukas of Fus Barrage could be enough to take out one squad. No, it's not. Again, just being teased every single time they try to take the space back. They just get murderized. We will see that this little bad boy right here is going to take some rounds. And I think what Gyunwoo is trying to do is trying to hold out just long enough to pick up a KT. And if he picks up the KT, that by itself could be a fairly good way to kind of get back in this. But that's still a fair bit of fuel off. Like, I can't even, effectively figure it out right now. And more rounds just keep going in. Jeez. This poor zone back here just getting beaten like crazy. Red-headed stepchildren, left, right, and center. Pugnacious has come up way far north, trying to get line of sight and everything else. Doesn't quite able to do so. And it gets forced back, probably luckily enough for the Germans. They can't afford to lose any tech buildings at this point. Truth be told, they are just holding on, desperately trying to get that KT. But, Gyunwoo is down 30 army supply, and every single time he makes an anti-tank gun, he loses it in the next engagement. And he decides instead he's going to finally go for that Panther. So I think a P4 might have been a better option in the long term. But hey, get whatever he got with that one. That's just all we can hope for, right? 22 to 443. I was really hoping to see a KT on the map. It won't happen. Not unless all of the Soviet armor goes down by the time I finish this sentence. They're still up. It looks rather dark days for Gyunwoo. He does have, though, a 2-to-1 cap against the Soviets. I'm shocked to see that because, well, considering where the game's been for most of this, the Soviets have not really been too concerned about locking down any part of the map. I mean, they've been able to hunker down a couple of machine guns here, a couple of machine guns there, and nothing else really going on with that. But no, folks, there is now a Panther on the field. And a fair amount of Soviet armor to oppose it. The question is really whether or not this Panther can be efficient in its trades. I don't know. That is also a very tall order. Southern part of the field, though, first T-34 runs afoul of it. We might see a dead T-34 in a second here. It's going to be like anything like a ram? No, it's going to be rear armor hit, and Su-85 is trooping up, trying to put line of sight on it. And the Panther says, yo, not my baby, don't say maybe. And when T-34 is pushed back. So the Su-85 says, yo bro, you want to attack me from the front? I have no problem with that. And manages to do some very serious damage to force back the Panther. Interestingly enough, though, the Germans can't call in any heavy fire suppression, I would say, on this area. Kind of nice if they could. Panther trying to do its best to lock down these T-34s, but starting to take rounds from this Rakettenwerfers, and the Zis gun appearing in its backfield. So this is very, very confusing right now. We have like anti-tank guns trying to get lines on anything possible. Not able to do so. Might even go down, maybe? No, instead Katyusha comes over here and takes out the MG-34 team. So I'm kind of wondering, will the Stuka-Zafus fire in this area? Probably the best chance he's got. No, he's going for a long bomb here. I think he's trying to find the Katyusha. Or even better, if he could hit this area that's repairing combat engineers. Yikes, well, there goes the Katyusha. Beautiful barrage right there. 25 kills, he got 8 kills on that one, not too bad. But he is losing the center VP yet again. I never realized how much damage those high explosive rockets actually do end up doing to Soviet armor. It kind of makes sense when you think about it. I mean, geez, those things are super, super light. The question is, though, can the Germans take back any of these positions in time? It looks like it's going to be nearly impossible. This gun has a lot of sight on the back of that Panther, is forcing him away. Germans have 16 tickets. They got to take back 2 VPs in that amount of time. I don't think it's going to happen. That's one right there. Almost down to 10. They might be able to push back to the north. No, never mind. They're getting pinned. This is actually not super close, but I think this might be the end of our intrepid OKW player. kind of, I think, honestly, looking back at this, the tech choices of this right now is probably the best opportunity. And in fact, we are going to see Gyunwoo's going to fall in just shy of 40 minutes here. Well played by our land-bound avian friend, the Pugnacious Penguin, pulling it out there, 416-0 by the final score. But I think really what kind of lost it for Gyunwoo was a strange teching pattern. Had he been a little more assertive, I think, in his early game and not being forced to kind of play into that Puma. I mean, indeed, didn't even really use his commander that often either. Might even been a better option for him to even go for a different commander altogether. But you know what? Hindsight is 20/20. Nevertheless, congratulations to the Penguin. He's been able to pull it out, and you know, I expect that kind of thing from him every now and again. So, folks, thanks so much for tuning in. Hopefully I'll see you guys all again soon. Thanks so much for the support you show this channel. I'm always blown away by it. And I will see you all soon. Take it easy, everybody. This is Gyunwoo signing off.